On today's episode, I would like to talk to you about accommodations and my experiences with accommodations in Miami, especially with the roommates. I went through so many roommates and apartments and houses, I cannot even count it anymore. With my first roommate, I was pretty lucky. It was a guy from Slovakia and he was really nice actually. He showed me around. We were sharing a one bedroom apartment, so basically we're sharing a bedroom. That was my first experience sharing one room with a guy. It wasn't as terrifying as it may sound. He was actually very polite and behaving and nice. So back then in 2018, sharing one bedroom apartment cost me $700 a month. The prices went up later on. Later on, I was sharing, actually, it was a studio with a friend that was also 1400, and we actually had to share a queen bed as well, me and my girlfriend. My next roommate was also a guy, and with that one we used to fight about the AC all the time. In Florida, it's really hot in here, and the temperature like goes to extreme, especially in the summer. Anyone coming from Europe will not be used to the AC. It was really crazy to me because the extreme difference between the temperature outdoors and indoors felt like 50 degrees difference. I just couldn't comprehend this craziness about low temperature for like so many years. Because in Europe, if it's hot, you just open the window. You cannot open window here because outside is sauna, unless it's like winter and it kind of chills out. But most of the year it's so freaking hot, and so they're blasting the AC here. First of all, from the beginning, I couldn't really understand what the temperature it is set to because, there's Fahrenheit here, just to make it more complicated for outsiders. So I didn't really understand what it means when they set the AC to 70 or 73 or 68 or 65. I only knew what I'm feeling, right? And I knew that I'm feeling okay when it's 75, which it's probably around like 24 degrees Celsius. But for some reason, outside you have like 40 degrees, which in Fahrenheit is like 90. And plus here with this humidity, it feels like 100, okay? So there you have like, let's say in 90 degrees, and then you enter the apartment and the apartment is set to 68. And it's crazy because you're all sweaty and you're all wet, and suddenly like you can feel how the sweat on you is just freezing right away. And it doesn't matter if it's apartment or if it's the bank or if it's a supermarket or if it's a hotel or if it's just like an office building, whatever kind of restaurant. Restaurants are the best. I've been into a restaurant that had the AC set to 64 degrees, okay? It was hot outside. It was hot as hell outside, so we were like, okay, let's sit inside. I was regretting this decision the entire dinner. 64 degrees, it's like 17 Celsius. Next day, you cannot turn your head, you cannot turn your back, you're in pain, you're sick, your nose is running. It's crazy. So yeah, those extreme temperatures, like I've been fighting with so many roommates about this. I can say that now, after 6 years here, I'm slowly assimilating to this madness because, like your body gets used to this. And so what happened is I visited my family in the summer in Slovakia, and obviously we don't have AC in our apartment. My parents don't have AC, and like nobody in my town probably. Maybe I don't even know if people in Slovakia have AC. Maybe some of them, like some fancy ones. I don't know, but normally houses and apartments don't have AC because first of all, you don't really need it there. Like the temperature outside, like the weather is either cold, freezing, or nice. You might have maybe like a week or two in summer that goes into extreme and you're sweating like hell. But most of the summers, even if it's really hot during the day, nights are cold. I remember I was dreaming about living in a place where at night I can wear flip flops outside. And now I have it, by the way. It's important to follow your dreams and to listen to your gut. Things we think about a lot eventually become reality. Obviously, we need to do some steps to make that happen. Let's get back to the topic of the temperature, or actually roommates. That's where we started initially. And so, yeah, we've been fighting about the thermostat and the apartment temperature quite a lot. Then there was another roommate who was a party animal, and he was bringing people into our apartment all the time. He was partying every day, every night. There was always some strangers in our apartment, and my room was right next to the entrance door. And my room didn't even have like a proper door. It was just like this sliding door with like a mirror. Like it was a joke. There was always people like peeking into my room. Whoever like entered our apartment, like I've been seeing people going in and out. And that wouldn't be like the biggest problem. The problem was that this guy like was loud as fuck. He was loud as hell with his friends. They were like blasting the music and like laughing on the balcony and drinking and getting ready and going out and partying. I told him like several times, can you like bring the volume down? Can you be a little bit understanding? Because I had to wake up early, and so he didn't really give a damn about my sleep. And he was one morning he was even like calling his boyfriend who was like in military, and he was on some mission, and he was complaining out loud about me to him, telling him that like, oh, this girl is crazy, and like I don't even know what he was saying, but it was really hurtful. And even his boyfriend, who was on speaker, told him, okay, don't be an asshole, you don't live alone. So yeah, that was the moment when I decided I'm out of here, and I told him that. And eventually in like 2 or 3 weeks he asked me to stay, but I was already like, I made up my mind. I'm like, I'm not going to stay here. The main point remains that you should be careful who you decide to live with. So then I started living with this girlfriend who I shared the studio with, and we paid like 700 each. The studio was super small. It was like 400 square feet. I have no idea how many square meters that is, but I'm pretty sure it will not be an impressive number. It was so small. It was infested with roaches. We had so many roaches, and we were spraying them, and we called the pest company, but they would always find their way back. I don't know if it's because we lived on the ground floor or because the building was like 100 years old. It was built like in 1920. And so I don't know what was going on, because like we've been really clean girls, and I was always making sure we don't leave like any food outside or anything, but the roaches, like, they always come back. And one night I even woke up with a roach like crawling on my face. And that was the worst terror I have ever experienced in my life. I woke up feeling something on my face. So I'm sorry, I just did like this. And I woke up and I still felt that sensation on my cheek, right? And I'm like, was this a dream or why am I feeling stuff on my face? And so I got up, I turned on the light, and I've seen a roach big like this on my pillow. I was so terrified. I froze. I couldn't move for like a good 30 seconds probably. I was just staring. I felt as if someone like pointed a gun at me. Like the amount of terror I felt like my heart is going to like jump out of my body. I'm not kidding you. And obviously I killed it. So that was another great experience. But I mean, besides roaches, it was a great time with my roommate. I feel like that was the craziest part of my life in Miami because we used to party a lot and go out and have fun, and it was a lot of girls' time. My next accommodation was slightly better, so I've been advancing. In my next place I was paying 1100 for the room in a 2-bedroom apartment, but since COVID the prices in Miami skyrocketed. The reason is that people started working remotely, so they decided to move to Miami because Miami never really shut down fully. People were still going out, there were still things happening around. I consider myself extremely lucky being located in Miami during COVID. I felt like all the world is going crazy except Miami. I mean, obviously we had restrictions and all that, but it still felt like you can live life. The weather helps so much, you know, when you have sun, and you could still go cycling. It's my cat again. You can still go cycling, you can go I think he's hungry, and I'm actually hungry too. So yeah, my next apartment was 1100. I had a decent sized room. Next place I lived in was a house, and I paid 1300 for the room. I'm not sure what the rates are for the apartments and the housing in the other parts of the United States. Obviously, I can only talk from my experience here, but as you can see, it's gradually growing. I had to take a little break to eat and feed my cat. So let's get back to the topic of the prices. Miami at the moment is the most expensive city to live in when you take into consideration the salaries versus the rents. Another funny story I have with the roommate, it's not even funny, it's actually sad, is that I had one roommate who used to eat my food all the time, and he wouldn't ask if it's okay that he eats my food. He would just take it without asking, like anything. I was never eating his food, and not only he never asked, he would never replenish. He would even eat the last thing that I had, right? So one time I had like a last beer in the fridge that I was planning to take with me to go to the beach, and I found out that he drank it. Actually, he drank the last 2 beers I had in the fridge with his girlfriend. Back then I had to like walk maybe 10-15 minutes to get to the store to buy my stuff and then carry it back home. Heavy bags that I bought for myself, and he would just eat it, you know. And when I asked him to buy it again, he would buy a completely different thing. So let's say I had Corona beer, he would buy a different brand of the beer. Then I had a roommate who was smoking inside of the apartment. That wasn't in America though. I had this roommate in Malta. But it was really frustrating, honestly. If you are not a smoker and someone is smoking around you inside of like in a closed space, It sucks, man. It's everything stinks. You stink. Like you cannot breathe. You feel like you're in a bar. I don't understand how some roommates can be so not considerate, you know? Then I had a roommate who was extremely messy, who would bring people over at night, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., who would eat my food. I would like find like cereal all over the place in the morning. Who damaged my stuff, who would leave the door and windows open all the time even though the AC was on and like insect was getting in and the heat was coming in, who wouldn't lock the house. I think that one is the winner. I actually counted it while I was eating, and I think in total I had 18 roommates since I left Slovakia. The advice I can give you is that try to get to know the person you're going to live with beforehand a little bit. Try to come to certain agreement before you move in together or before you move into their place, if they're willing to compromise on things. Sometimes roommates can turn your dream into a nightmare. It's really not nice when you have to cohabitate with someone and you're the only person who's cleaning. The last thing I wanted to talk about is requirements to find an accommodation in America. So usually when you apply for the house or you apply for an apartment, things they require from you is your social security number. I'm going to be talking about social security number on another episode. They will check your credit score, background, if you are a criminal or not. And some places also ask for the proof of income. They want to know what's your salary. Many places require that your salary is 3 times higher than the place you're going to rent. So if you're renting a place that's 2,000, you need to prove that your income is at least 6,000. It's not everywhere like that, but in the nicer places, nicer buildings, or with some strict landlords, it is the case. Also, before moving in, they require you to pay the first month rent, the last month rent, and the deposit, which deposit usually it is the monthly rent. Some places only require first month and deposit. Some places only require first month and then the deposit is maybe $1,000. Some places require first month, last month, and deposit is 2 months. So you basically pay 4 months before you move in. So it really depends how luxurious is the place or how strict is the building, or if you're renting directly with the landlord. So there are nuances to this, but in general, these are the rules. In my opinion, the best living conditions are in condominiums, which are skyscrapers here in Miami. They usually have amenities such as pool and gym. Some of them also have jacuzzi and sauna. You usually have a parking spot, which also in some buildings you have to pay for. Some of them have assigned parking spot that's included in the rent. Some buildings, more luxurious ones, they have valet. So they have guys who will park your car in the garage instead of you, which is cool. Those are actually very nice because most of them have really nice view on the city or on the water and the beach with sunset and sunrise. So in my opinion, this is the best type to live in once you're like single or young. I mean, living in the house in a nice area is also great, but I would prefer to do that once you settle down and you have family and you have kids and stuff like that. I think that's more family-like living. So if you're young and you want to live the life and like enjoy the big city, I think the condominiums are the best option. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you on the next